My name is Sophia.
I'm 26. Until a few nights ago, my life finally felt steady, just enough to pay bills and keep my daughter, Maya, safe and calm.
That night I was at the kitchen table finishing work.
The room was quiet, with only my laptop light and Maya's cartoon playing in the next room.
Then my phone started buzzing, again and again. I opened my banking app and felt sick. My checking account was at zero. My savings was zero. Even Maya's small future account was empty. The transfers looked clean, like they were approved. Then I saw the device name in the activity log. It wasn't a stranger.
It was my sister, Renee. Years ago, when I was young and struggling, I gave her access to help me manage things.
Back then it felt like support. Now I was watching my money disappear. I froze. I didn't cry. I just stared. Maya walked in sleepy and looked at me. Then she said, very calm, "Mom, don't worry. I handled it." I didn't understand, until I saw a message on the app. Temporary hold applied. Suspicious activity under review. My 12-year-old had hit the emergency button and stopped the transfer. I asked how she knew it was Renee. She said she checked the location map we shared. Renee's dot was blinking near a motel, and I wasn't there, so Maya knew something was wrong. Relief hit me hard, but so did anger. Renee tried to take everything, knowing I'm a single mom and every dollar matters. 2 days later, Renee called screaming. She wasn't sorry. She was furious I froze the money. She said I had messed things up for people who don't like delays, and she hinted they could come after me. I ended the call and documented everything with my co-worker, Jocelyn. The bank confirmed one transfer was stopped in time. Then I got a scary email. Family business is best handled quietly. It had a link. I didn't click.
I checked it safely and found a forum post with my name, photos of me and Maya, and people talking about how to pressure me.
One comment mentioned my child. That's when I knew this wasn't just theft. It was control.
Jocelyn connected me with a state detective, Lauren King. She told me to stop replying, save everything, and let them track patterns. I locked down every account and device Renee had ever touched. Later, a man named Evan Cole approached me. He said Renee and her husband were part of a bigger scam group, and freezing the money caused problems for them.
He agreed to cooperate because he didn't want a child involved.
Detective King made a plan. Get Renee to admit what she did.
I called Renee and acted scared. It worked. She agreed to meet in a busy public place. At the park, I wore a wire.
Renee arrived with her husband, Caleb. They insulted me, acted like I was nothing, and Renee admitted they were moving funds. Then another woman stepped in, Caleb's wife, angry and exhausted. She said the people in the chats were watching, and they weren't patient. That was enough. Officers moved in from every direction.
Renee and Caleb were arrested.
As Renee was cuffed, she stared at me like I betrayed her. I didn't.
She did this to herself.
That night, Maya came home and searched my face for the truth. I knelt down and told her, she can't hurt us anymore. Maya nodded, quiet, brave, and way stronger than she should have had to be. Is she going to jail?
Maya asked.
Yes, I said.
For a long time, she whispered. Then she asked what I feared most.
Is that why she yelled?
I breathed out slowly.
Sometimes when people finally face consequences, they don't feel sorry first.
They feel shocked. Maya nodded like she understood.
She went inside, sat at the table, and opened her sketchbook.
Drawing was how she stayed calm when her feelings were too big for words.
The next few weeks were heavy. There were statements, interviews, and calls that came too early or too late. Detective King's team found more victims than I wanted to imagine. Retirees, single parents, and people who trusted the wrong person at the wrong time. At the first court hearing, Renee wouldn't look at me.
Caleb did.
His eyes were cold, like I had done something to him instead of the other way around. Evan sat behind us with his pregnant wife, holding her hand like he was trying to keep his life from falling apart again. When the charges were read, identity theft, wire fraud, conspiracy, something in me settled. Not peace, but clarity. The sister I used to defend was gone. This is who she chose to be. Months later, they signed a plea deal. The sentence was measured in years, not apologies. The bank covered a big part of our losses quietly. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to keep our home and our routine. When the letter came, Maya watched me read it. She twisted the edge of her shirt and asked, "Are we safe now?" "We're safer," I said. That became our new goal, safer. Not blind trust.
Not pretending family can't hurt you.
Real safety we built on purpose. Two-factor codes, credit freezes, no shared access, no exceptions.
One night I found Maya drawing a new comic.
She drew us standing together with shields up. Off to the side was a small figure behind bars made of numbers and symbols. Do you think she'll ever say sorry?
Maya asked, still looking at her page. Maybe, I said. But we can't wait for that. She nodded and wrote a speech bubble at the bottom. Boundaries aren't mean.
They are protection. Life didn't snap back to normal. It stretched back slowly, like a sore muscle learning to move again. There were still court dates and paperwork beside Maya's homework. There were nights I woke up worried I missed something. But there were lighter mornings too. Maya's fundraiser still happened. What started as a small art sale became a packed room at the community center, walls covered in drawings, parents staying longer than planned. Maya stood up front with a poster she made herself, a piggy bank with a cape and a lock shaped like a smile. This is about safe money, she told the adults.
And danger money.
And how kids notice things when grown-ups are tired.
Some people laughed. Some didn't.
Afterward, parents pulled me aside to ask about shared accounts, letting relatives fix phones, and what to do to stay safe. A week later, I gave a short talk at the center. I kept it simple.
I told the truth. Trust without boundaries isn't kindness. Access is power, even when it looks small.
And my job title didn't make what happened smaller. At home, Maya and I made security a normal thing, not a scary thing.
She helped me label apps and settings.
She kept a notebook of bad-feeling apps and marked the ones we removed with tiny red symbols. Months after sentencing, I found her working on another comic.
A clean line split the page.
On one side, the past.
On the other, everything after.
What are you calling it?
I asked. She smiled.
Before and after. Later that night, I looked through old photos, Renee and me as kids, Renee holding newborn Maya, looking proud and scared at the same time.
I didn't delete them. Erasing them wouldn't protect us. Instead, I made 2 albums. Before. After. Because I learned something I won't forget. Family isn't a firewall.
Love doesn't automatically keep you safe. Sometimes the most dangerous risks are the ones you excuse because they feel familiar.
People had opinions.
How could you do that to your sister? Is jail too extreme?
I learned who listened to understand, and who listened only to judge. Maya handled it better than most adults.
One day walking home from school she said, some people don't like boundaries because they don't benefit from them.
I stopped.
She kept walking, then turned back. What?
I smiled. Nothing. That was just very true.
Work changed too. People started double-checking permissions.
Asking questions. Taking access seriously.
I was still an assistant admin, still handling tickets, but now when I spoke, people listened.
Detective King checked in sometimes. Short updates.
Professional. The case spread wider than I expected. More accounts, more victims, more charges. Evan testified and disappeared from that world. Months later, he sent one message, a photo of a newborn wrapped in a hospital blanket, and a simple thank you.
I didn't reply. Some chapters don't need answers.
One night, long after everything got quiet, Maya leaned on my shoulder while we watched a silly show.
I'm glad you didn't unfreeze the money, she said. So am I told her. Even though she's family. Especially because she's family.
Maya nodded, satisfied, and rested her head against me. And that's when I realized the story wasn't about betrayal anymore. It was about choosing safety. And keeping it.
It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the line we drew after. The line that said, this far and no further. The line that taught my daughter that love shouldn't destroy you.
That being kind doesn't mean being unprotected.
I used to think boundaries were cold walls.
Now I know they are more like guardrails. They're to keep you from falling into a place you can't climb out of. And after everything happened, I held that line quietly, without guilt. Time softened some feelings, but it also made me see things more clearly. I noticed how often people mistake familiar for safe. How many lives, and workplaces, run on habit instead of real caution. At work, I started seeing it everywhere. Managers approving access because someone seems fine, coworkers reusing passwords because it's easy, people trusting a title instead of a limit. And every time, my chest tightened with the same reminder. I almost lost everything because I didn't want to upset my own sister. Maya noticed too. She'd point out small things like a friend sharing a password too casually, or a teacher clicking a link without checking who sent it.
She didn't say it like she was scared. She said it like she was learning.
One night while we cooked dinner, she asked, "Do you think Aunt Renee thought she was the good guy?"
I paused. Probably, I said.
Most people do. Even when they hurt people.
Especially then, I told her.
She was quiet for a moment, then said, "I don't want to be like that." "You won't," I said right away. Not because she'll never make mistakes, but because she already understands something many adults don't. Your intentions don't erase the damage you cause. And being family doesn't give someone permission to take pieces of your future. Eventually the court date slowed, then stopped. Renee's name came up less and less, until it felt strange to say it out loud. When it did come up, it didn't feel like a fresh wound anymore.
It felt like a fact.
One afternoon, I was sorting old boxes and found an old notebook from years ago, budgets, reminders, baby notes from when Maya was little. Renee's name was in the margins, circled and underlined like a safety net.
I closed the notebook and set it aside.
Not thrown away.
Not saved like a treasure. Just placed somewhere neutral. Some things don't need to be erased to lose their power.
That night, Maya and I worked at the table like it was any normal evening.
She did homework.
I checked routine access logs. Nothing scary, just regular life. "Mom," she said suddenly, "do you think other kids would understand this stuff if someone explained it?"
"Yes," I said. "I think they already understand. Adults just don't ask them." She smiled and went back to her work.
The fear that used to control my days didn't disappear, but it changed.
It became awareness. And awareness is steadier than panic.
It doesn't make life quieter, just clearer. I also noticed how often silence had protected the wrong people in my past. How many times I swallowed discomfort because it was easier than speaking up. Renee counted on that version of me, the one who kept the peace, the one who didn't want to sound dramatic, the one who thought love meant enduring anything.
That version of me was gone.
And Maya changed too.
She walked differently now. She asked questions without shrinking.
When someone crossed a line, she spoke up, not loud, not rude, just firm. Watching her do that felt like the future fixing something the past never could. At the school tech fair, Maya stood by her poster while parents walked by. The title made some of them stop. How to protect your future, even from family.
Some people smiled politely and moved on. Others read every word.
One father asked me if it sounded extreme.
"No," I said.
"Pretending it can't happen is what's extreme." On the way home, Maya said, "People don't like it when you say things that make them uncomfortable."
"I know," I said.
"But discomfort is sometimes the first sign you're learning something important."
That night she added a new page to her notebook.
No drawings this time, just careful words in her neat handwriting. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Check first.
Be kind, but be careful.
I watched her write and felt two feelings at once, pride and grief.
Pride for the strength she was building. Grief for the innocence she lost too early. I learned to let both exist.
A few weeks later, a final court letter arrived.
Simple, official, and finished.
I read it once, folded it, and put it away, not hidden, just stored, like something we survived. That evening Maya asked for ice cream. No celebration, no special reason, just because. We sat outside, cones melting faster than we could eat them. "Do you ever miss her?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. "I miss who I thought she was," I said. "But I don't miss what she did to us." Maya nodded, satisfied with the difference. And that's when I realized something. The story didn't belong to Renee anymore, not to what she took, not to what she broke.
It belonged to what we built after. The habits. The boundaries.
The daily choices that said our safety mattered.
Even when it was hard. Especially then.
Sometimes my mind still tried to rewind everything, searching for the exact moment I should have said no. Regret can pretend it's helpful, but most days it just keeps you stuck.
I learned to let those thoughts pass without following them. Life found its rhythm again. Calmer mornings.
Evenings for homework, dinner, and Maya's endless questions about computers, money, and people.
I didn't always have answers.
Sometimes I told her the truth. I don't know. Other times I told her what I learned the hard way. Accountability feels unfair to people who avoid it. Shortcuts usually cost more later.
Trust isn't the same as entitlement.
One weekend, while cleaning a drawer, Maya found an old phone Renee used years ago.
My chest tightened when I saw it.
Maya just looked curious.
Can we wipe it? She asked.
Yes, I said. We can. We sat together and reset it step by step, removing accounts, confirming screens, watching it clear back to zero.
Clean. Safe.
Hours again. It was a small thing, but when the phone reset finished, Maya smiled like we had done something important.
Clean slate, she said. I nodded.
For us. At work, I was asked to train new hires. Nothing fancy, just showing people the basics, why small permissions matter, why just this once can turn into a disaster.
I said yes right away. Teaching felt like a way to turn our pain into something useful.
Sometimes I wondered what Renee was doing now, or if she ever replayed what happened.
But I didn't stay in that thought. Wondering isn't the same as missing someone. Maya stopped asking about her aunt.
Not because she forgot, but because that space got filled with something better. Confidence, awareness, trust in herself. One night while I tucked her in, she looked up and said, "I'm glad you listened to me."
I always will, I told her.
Even when I'm wrong. Especially then, I said. That's when I realized our world had changed. Before, safety felt fragile, like we were borrowing it.
Now it felt chosen. Built step by step. Safety also changed what success meant to me.
It wasn't about keeping money untouched or looking fine on the outside.
It was about noticing problems faster.
Speaking up sooner.
Letting fear take up less space in our daily life. I saw the change in myself one afternoon at work.
A coworker asked me to share quick access to a system. Just for a minute, they said. Just to save time. The old me would have agreed to be nice.
I didn't.
I'll walk you through it, I said, but I'm not sharing access. They looked surprised, then nodded.
And that was it. No drama. No explosion. Just a better choice. Maya had her own version of that.
A friend asked for her login so they could finish a game together. She told me over dinner like it was no big deal.
I said no, she said.
I told her we could play side by side instead.
How did she take it? I asked. She got annoyed, Maya shrugged. Then she got over it. I smiled. Boundaries don't need big speeches. They just need practice. As the months passed, our story stopped feeling like something we lived inside. It became background, something we remembered, not something that controlled us. Renee's name stayed in paperwork and legal notices. It stopped holding power over my emotions. That surprised me most. I thought closure would be loud.
But it came quietly. In normal dinners, in laughter, in calm mornings.
One evening, I found one of Maya's old notebooks.
On the first page after everything happened, she had written one line and underlined it twice.
Pay attention when something changes. That was the lesson. Not paranoia. Not assuming everyone is bad. Just awareness.
When family betrays you, the answer isn't to harden your heart.
It's to sharpen your attention. To choose clarity over comfort.
To understand that loyalty without boundaries isn't love, it's risk.
That didn't make me cold. It made me free. Freedom is quiet. It shows up when you stop bracing for bad news. When your shoulders finally relax. When your phone buzzes and your heart doesn't jump. Nights became normal again. Maya slept deeper. So did I.
There were still echoes, old memories that tried to soften what Renee did.
I let them pass. Healing wasn't about rewriting the past. It was about refusing to let it control the future. One day Maya asked if we could go back to the park. The same park. I understood why and said yes. We walked slowly. Kids ran by laughing. Someone played music too loud. The sun hit the water like glitter. Life went on.
Nothing bad happened here today, Maya said, like she was checking a box. No, I agreed. It didn't. She nodded, satisfied, and skipped ahead. And I understood something new. Protecting your child isn't only stopping harm. It's also showing them that the worst day doesn't get to own every day after. People asked me later, would you do it again? Do you regret turning her in? My answer was simple. I don't regret protecting my child. I don't regret choosing safety over a loyalty that demanded silence. What I regret is how long it took me to believe I was allowed to draw the line. If I could talk to the old version of me, I'd tell her this. You are not cruel for refusing to be used. You are not dramatic for noticing patterns. You are not disloyal for closing doors that never should have been open. Boundaries don't erase love. They show where love can exist safely. That night, Maya fell asleep with her notebook under her pillow like it was a shield. I brushed her hair back and stood there a little longer than I needed to.
This was what I was protecting. Not an image of family. Not a perfect life.
Just this, peace, safety, and a future we built on purpose. Months later, we sat on the couch in the soft lamplight. Maya scrolled through drawings on her tablet and asked, "Do you think families can break and still be real?"
I thought about it for a moment. Yes, I said.
Sometimes breaking is the only way they become real.
She nodded, satisfied, and leaned into me.
And I knew the truth. My life wasn't built on what my sister took.
It was built on what I chose to protect.